Hey guys, this is Daquan here, and you already know I'm back with another creepypasta. Now this one is about Thanksgiving. I give you Wickers Field. Thanksgiving is a wonderful time for every family to get together and have a large meal, filling yourself to your fullest. Everyone is having a good time. Some family members may drink to their fill, being known as the life of the party, while playing dominoes and various card games, cursing at each other. Children would run around laughing as to be happy to see their cousins from an extremely long wait of not seeing them. At the end of the day, they'd beg to their mothers to spend the night or not go home at all. The culinarians of the family would usually remain in the kitchen, slaving away over a hot stove, preparing a delicious dinner for 40, or how many ever came. These were the days I missed the most. Sadly, however, this Thanksgiving was one of the worst I've ever had, perhaps even day. Keep in mind, this happened over a course of several days, not just one. The year is 2003. My wife and I decided to start our own tradition. We'd just leave the state when our kids Michael and Sasha were on Thanksgiving break. My wife Sherry and I were looking online one night for different places to go and visit, when we came across a place called Wickers Field. It looked absolutely beautiful. It was located in Richmond, Virginia, in a wooded area up in the mountains. We decided to call the number on the screen. No answer. That's strange. Let's just drive up there, I suggested. Eric, that'll be a waste of gas and precious time, Sherry had said. Hey, it's worth a shot. Okay, but when we get there and you find out it doesn't even exist, don't complain to me. Okay? It was all settled. We'd pack our bags with 4 days worth of clothes and head out 2 days before Thanksgiving. The road trip was long. It took about 10 hours just to get there. It wasn't a resort as I thought it was. Instead, it was just a cozy looking cabin. We went inside. Hello? I had said loudly, but in return, got no answer. The cabin was completely empty. Maybe we should just leave, Eric. No one is here. Plus, this is probably someone's house. That makes no sense, Sherry. You saw it online. Come to Wickers Field for a nice lodging trip. That's what the front page said, so we might as well make ourselves home. Fine. Your call. If the cops come, I'll tell them you kidnapped the kids and I. She then gave a little smirk. We then began unpacking our bags, choosing where we'd sleep for our stay here. When we were all finished, I drove to the store to buy some food for our stay in Thanksgiving. On my way driving back home through the wooded path, I felt as if someone or something was watching me. As soon as I arrived to the cabin, Sherry and I began preparing dinner and then tucked our children in for bed. When the next morning struck, Sherry had started preparing breakfast while I went out to the back to chop some wood for a fire. The kids tagged along as well and played on the swing set while I was focused on chopping wood. I noticed it was quiet. A bit too quiet. Mike? Sash? They didn't respond. My heart began pounding. Immediately rushed into the house. Sherry, are the kids in here? No, I thought they were out back with you. They were, but they just up and vanished. Sherry and I began panicking, rushing outside. Michael, Sasha, where are you? Yelling their names, hoping they'd be close. They then both came running out of the woods. Why did you two go running off? You worried both of us. This man in the woods told us to follow him, Daddy. He took us to this big field and asked us to come back at night, and we'd have fun. He was really nice, Daddy. Man? What man? What did he look like? Sasha then replied, he was tall and had big muscles with this feather on his head. Come on, Mommy and Daddy, I'll show you where he took us. They both then led us through the forest into a large open field. This must have been Wickers Field, the field that the site was talking about. Wow, you know, Sherry, I really expected more. The field was just a plain, boring grassland. Where is he at? He was just here, Daddy. Eric, we should leave. I'm not getting a good feeling about this. You're right, Sherry. Alright, kids, let's go. We're going home today. But Dad, no, it's not safe here. But Dad, the man said if we leave without doing what he says, he'll take us traitors and kill all of us. That's it, we're leaving now. Pack your bags. We all got to the car, and I put the key in the ignition. It wouldn't turn on. My heart then had sunk. What's wrong with it, Eric? I don't know. It won't start for some reason. Just call AAA. When I looked at my phone, there was no service. We'll just have to walk out of this place. When we walked towards the entrance, it took longer than expected. In fact, we never reached the entrance at all. It's almost as if it never existed. The same scene kept repeating over and over again. Are we going in circles, Daddy? Sarah had asked. No, the forest just looks the same everywhere. That's why it seems like we're going in circles, okay? Don't worry. Sherry then pulled me to the side. Eric, we're going in circles and you know it. I know, Sherry, but what do you expect me to tell the kids? That we're lost? They'll be terrified. Listen, I have no idea what's going on, but I know it isn't good. You and I both know this is the trail. Let's just go back to the cabin and figure out what to do from there. When we finally arrived back to the cabin, smoke began to emerge from the kitchen window. Shit, I forgot the oven was on, Sherry had said. The breakfast she'd cooked this morning was charred to a crisp. When the kitchen was all cleaned up, the kids had watched TV while Sherry and I discussed what we do. I have no idea what's going on, Sherry. It's like this place is cursed. Eric, I'm scared. Don't worry, I'm so positive there's a logical explanation for all of this. We're just all freaking out right now. And tired. Mommy, I'm hungry, Michael and Sarah had interrupted. Okay, kids, hold up. Daddy will whoop you up something real quick when I open the fridge. Flies were emerging from the open door. What the hell? I just bought this fruit. There's no way it could have rotten. Now, I gotta clean the whole fridge out. Hold up, kids, it'll be a minute. Sherry, stay here and clear the fridge out while I look for some food. She looked at me with a worried face, but then agreed. I grabbed my fishing gear and headed towards the lake this place had. If this site was correct, it should be a few miles from Wickers Field. As I walked the eerie terrain, it felt different, almost as if a crowd of people were watching me and awaiting my death. The lake was actually closer than expected. It only took several minutes to walk after clearing the field. I caught 3 catfish and 2 bass while fishing, and it only took 1 hour. Wow, I'm really good at this. As I casted my line out once more, something began to emerge from the lake. It was a beautiful woman. Her clothes reminded me of Native Americans. She began to sway her body back and forth, trapping me within her dance and her gaze. I felt paralyzed until I snapped out of it and realized it was night. What the hell? How long have I been out? I then looked back at the lake. She wasn't there. I immediately started running back towards the cabin. Eric, where have you been? You worried me sick. I'm sorry, Sherry. I caught some pretty big fish for supper, though. She then began preparing our meal. That night at the dinner table, everyone was silent. I mean, what is there to say? We tucked our kids in, then went to bed. Around 4 a.m., I was awakened by screams coming from our kids' room. When Sherry and I got in there, they both came rushing towards us, crying and grabbing onto our legs in complete terror. What happened? The man with the feather was in our window and he told us to come to Wickers Field tonight, unless we all want to die. It's okay. There was no man, it was just a nightmare, okay? I tried to comfort them. They soon fell asleep. As so I did with Sherry. Whoa, I slept in pretty late. What's wrong with the alarm clock? I don't know, Eric. It seems like nothing is working. She began flicking our lamp's light on and off. What the hell? We all went downstairs and everything was off. Great. What are we gonna do now? I'm gonna get some food for us. I took a shower and got dressed, heading out towards the lake. Early enough so I could catch a few and perhaps even collect some wild berries and nuts. I caught 5 bass and 3 trout, along with 4 catfish. I was serious today. My family needed food, and there was no way I'd let them go hungry. When I walked through the woods, I carefully selected items I knew were edible. But while I was collecting berries and nuts and various fruits amongst the forest, it felt as if I was being watched by a malevolent presence. I just dismissed this thought as me worrying too much, and because of the current situation my family and I were in. When I arrived to the cabin, Sherry had begun to cook while the kids and I sat in the living room. We played Monopoly and Uno while our food was being prepared. When we ate, the table was quiet once more. The day dragged on for so long. We all went to bed. I was then awoken again by the kids screaming. At the same time, 4 a.m. They said the same man from before told them to go to Wickers Field tonight, or our family will suffer a horrifying plague and then soon die. Shari and I comforted them until they fell back to sleep. Then we went to bed as well. 1 p.m. struck. As I got ready to go fishing, the water in the shower came out sludgy and black. Oh, great. Every single faucet in this house doesn't work. What are we going to do for water? Sherry and the kids were thirsty, and they begged me to come back with water after my hunting trip. I promised I will protect them and come back with whatever they need. The days passed on, and everything kept getting worse and worse, with the same man popping up in my children's room that they claimed to see. My hunting trips weren't going well either. I'd come back with less fish and wild berries, and less fresh water as well. It's like the lake was cursed and it began to turn sludge like and black like tar. On Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, my children began to throw up. Daddy, I'm so thirsty. Their voice sounded very dry. We all haven't got a single drop to drink ever since Thanksgiving from the water I harvested before in the past few days we were here. Don't worry, kids, everything will be okay. I then took Sherry to our room. Listen, Sherry, I don't know what the hell's going on, but we need to help the kids. Plus, we're all starving and we're thirsting to death. I know, Eric. What do you suppose we do? We have to do what the kid says. Go out to Wickers Field tonight to see that man and do whatever he says. But Eric, I don't feel... Sherry, we must do it. When 8 struck, we began walking towards the field. It seemed dark enough for it to be considered night. When we got closer, we began to hear a large drum in the distance and saw a large fire coming from the center of the field. And there, in the field, a large muscular man with a feather behind his head was standing behind the drum. There were others surrounding him as well. It looked about 30. The drumming didn't stop. Your people have destroyed our villages for many years, and you will suffer for your ancestors' doings. What the hell are you talking about? I then remembered my 5th grade history class and how Europeans destroyed the natives' land, raping their women and killing their men. I'm sorry for our ancestors' doings. Please forgive them, for I would have never done any of that. Silence! You will pay, and that's final. The natives then began dancing around the fire, chanting loudly. The fire grew larger and was ferocious. A loud screech then came from it, and a creature rushed out of the flames. It was large and had black fur. Its nails were long and scraped against the ground as it walked. It almost looked like a wolf, but I knew no wolf would make me feel a presence so evil. The creature then began circling us and staring at us directly in the eyes, as if it were judging us. It then lunged out toward Sherry, ripping her head clean off. Her lifeless corpse dropped to the ground and began twitching as blood began to squirt out of her neck. Sherry! I cried. I grabbed my children and bolted away, trying to escape this place. But of course we couldn't leave and just run in circles. The creature finally caught up to us and pushed me with tremendous strength towards the tree. My bones began to crack, and I screamed in pain while watching my children being mauled to death. The beast then looked at me and walked away back into the woods from whence it came. Oh how I wished it had just killed me. What I had witnessed alone was enough to drive the man crazy. Staggering back to the cabin, I laid on my bed alone in silence. God, I don't want to live anymore. I'm going to hang myself after writing this story. If you're reading this, please turn around and go back home. Please don't suffer the same fate as my family and I. Goodbye. Oh, this is a load of crap. Ha! They actually think this alone is enough to scare me? John, we should leave. I don't feel safe. Listen, Emily. There's probably some guy that left this as a prank to scare us away from this awesome vacation spot. Now relax and unpack the bags. Daddy, Daddy! There's this man outside with a feather on his head.